Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to discuss constructors and destructors in Java. As already you know that Java is designed as purely object oriented programming language. When you are going to write Java program, we should use class. For example, I am writing program like this: import java.io.star. We should use class. For example, I am writing sample program. So take class sample. Already explained, class contains variables and methods. For example, I am taking variables x, y, z. To access these variables, we have to use methods. For example, I am using void read, or I can use void get data also. The purpose of this read method is take x value 10, take y value 20, add these x and y. Okay. Next, I am going to use one more method to display these values. Here I am, this side I am writing void display. Void display. I am printing values. System dot out. In shortcut I am writing, but you have to write completely. System dot out dot println x. System dot out dot println y. System dot out dot println z. See here, we are using read method to read data. We are using display method to display data. Okay. To access in our Java language, class is okay. We have two types of data types: primitive data types and non-primitive data types. Class interface will come out of the category of non-primitive data types. Okay. To access this class data, we have to create object. Where we have to create object? We have to create object by writing main method. In C language, we call main function, but here we will refer it as what? Main method. Actually, to write main method, we can write separate class and we can write it. But anyhow, we are writing class here. Without writing separate class, straight away I can write here public static void main. Okay, main is having one parameter, string aux parameter. Okay, which class data I have to access? Sample class data we have to access. Okay, to access sample class data, we have to write sample class name, object name s equal to new class name. Which class? Sample followed by parenthesis. This is the syntax to create object to class. Okay, sample is class name, sc is variable name, equal to new class name followed by parenthesis. Which class data I have to access? Sample class data. Variable name is s equal to new sample. Using this variable to access read method, we have to write s dot read. We have to write s dot display. See, now I have to close main close, then we have to close class. Main closing, class closing. Sir, in this program, constructor is there or not? There is no constructor. Here we don't have constructor. Okay. Check it. How to identify constructor in our program? What is the purpose of constructor? See, in this program we don't have constructor. Okay? Is constructor, okay, if you are going to use constructor, constructor is also a method. Constructor is also a method. For example, I have taken sample class. In sample class, I have class contains what? Variables and method. Instead of using read method, now I will use constructor. Okay? What is the class name? Sample. Use method name also as same as class name. If you use method name, okay, as your class name and method name are same, that is referred as constructor. What is the purpose of constructor? Same. To initialize value, it will tell you take x value 10, y value 20, z equal to x plus y. Some of they will tell to initialize variables. In high level, we can talk it as to initialize objects. To initialize the object, because to access this read method, sample method, after creating object we are accessing, no? That's why to initialize object, to initialize variables, you can tell anything, no issue. Now I am using display method to display value. See, if a class contains constructor, okay, now I have to access sample class constructor. The same story. Class contains variables and methods. Over here, instead of using normal method, I am using constructor. I am using a separate method, display method. Okay, this is not constructor. If we have to call it as constructor means, what is the class name? Sample. Method name, display. Both are not same. So it is not constructor. If class name and method name are same, then it is referred as constructor. Okay, now this is constructor. Now, same story. We have to access sample class data. Where we have to create update? By writing main program, we have to create update. What is the syntax? Class name, object name equal to new class name followed by parenthesis. Now, if a class contains constructor, constructors will be executed automatically when you create object. When you create object sample s equal to new sample, this constructor will be executed automatically. But this is not constructor. We have to call it explicitly s dot display. Okay, this is main close, class close. Sir, why you are not calling sample? That is the advantage of constructor. If a class contains constructor, okay, again, please remember, then these will come under the category of non-parameterized constructors, because it is not having any arguments here. Suppose if it is having any arguments here like int a, int b, if it is having parameters, it is parameterized constructor. Now in this example, we don't have any parameters, hence it is non-parameterized constructor. If a class contains non-parameterized constructor, when you create object to class, they will be executed automatically. Okay. To access sample class data, I created object, but I am not calling s dot sample. Being constructed, it will be executed automatically. But display is not constructor. We have to call explicitly. Okay. Like this, we have to write a program using constructor. Okay, this is main close, class close. Sir, why you are not calling sample? That is the advantage of constructor. If a class contains constructor, okay, again, please remember, these will come under the category of non-parameterized constructors, because it is not having any arguments here. Suppose if it is having any arguments here like int a, int b, if it is having parameters, it is parameterized constructor. Now in this example, we don't have any parameters, hence it is non-parameterized constructor. If a class contains non-parameterized constructor, when you create object to class, they will be executed automatically. Okay. To access sample class data, I created object, but I am not calling s dot sample. Being constructed, it will be executed automatically. But display is not constructor. We have to call explicitly. Okay, like this we have to write a program using constructor. Okay. Next, what are the properties of constructor? First property, class name, method name same. First property, class name, method name same. A name followed by parenthesis is method in Java. A name followed by parenthesis is function in C language. But in Java, a name followed by parenthesis is what? Method. First property, class name, method name same. Constructor. Second point, sir, can I write while here? Can I write int here? Before function name, if you specify int, float, void, okay, those are referred as return types. Those are referred as return types. Second point, constructor will not have any return type. Even void, you can't specify voids. Okay, that means constructor will not return any value, even void. Third point, it is used to initialize objects or variables. Both are same. Third property is what the purpose of constructor. The purpose of method is to initialize variables. The purpose of constructor is also to initialize objects. Third point. Fourth point, very important point. Constructors will be executed automatically when we create objects to class. Please note it. Which constructors? Non-parameterized constructors will be executed automatically when we create object to class. If we have parameterized constructor, we have to pass parameters while creating object. Okay, this is a sample program to demonstrate constructor. Actually, first I have written the program without constructor because you should know what is class. Class contains variables and methods. To access variables, we have to use method. If a class contains normal method, what is the approach of accessing a method? If a class contains constructor, what is the difference? Okay, to specify that one only, I explained the program first without constructor. I explained. After that, by specifying constructor how to access, I explained. Now it is clear to all of you. Now we will discuss types of constructors. Actually, we have two types of constructors. One is non-parameterized constructors. Non-parameterized constructors. Or this is also referred as default constructor. Default constructor. Number two, parameterized constructors. Okay? Just now I explained on program. That program will come out of the category of non-parameterized because I have taken class sample. I have taken int x, y, z. Then I have taken class name, method name same, constructor. Is it having any parameters here? No. So it is non-parameterized constructor. If we have to call this constructor as parameterized constructor, see here, take int a comma int b. It is having parameters, arguments, parameters both are same. Now I will write x equal to a, y equal to b, z equal to x plus y. Please semicolon. Next, I will use display method. Sir, I will print here only. Means you can print, no issue. No need of using display method. Here itself you can print. Now I will use display. Why display? To print values I am using. Okay? To print system.out.println x. system dot out dot println y, system dot out dot println z. I have to access sample class data. We have to create object. Normally, where will you create object? It may be any programming language. Program exists in the main program. So we have to write it main. But in Java simply we can't write main. We have to write public static void main string args. In shortcut I am writing because I already explained now. That's why I am writing a shortcut. Which class data I have to access? Sample class data. Please create. What is the syntax? Class name sample s equal to new sample. But please listen. If it is having parameter, how many parameters it is having? 2 parameter. We have to pass 2 values 10, 20. Sample s equal to new sample of 10, 20. I will write it perfectly, please. Sample s equal to new sample of 10, 20 or 100, 200, anything. Because this constructor is having 2 parameters. What parameters? Integer parameter. I am passing 10 and 20. 10 is copied into A, 20 is copied into B. X equal to A, Y equal to B, Z equal to X plus Y. What close? Constructor close. Back to main program. Now I have to access display. S dot display. Main close, class close. Remember one thing. If a class contains parameterized constructor, after creating object, how many parameters it is having? 2 parameters. What type parameters? Integer parameter. We have to pass them. If you don't pass them, it is referred as non-parameterized constructor. But here we are having parameterized constructor. If we have parameterized constructor, we have to pass values. Again, no need of calling. Automatically it will be executed, but display is not constructor. We have to call it manually. Clear? Sir, what is the first one? Non-parameterized or default constructor. Second one is what? This is parameter. If constructor is having parameter, it is parameterized constructor. Please all of you remember, there is one important interview question. Class sample. I am taking int x, y, z. Void get data. Void get data. In this get data method only straight away I will read and I will print x equal to 10, y equal to 20, z equal to x plus y. I am printing system dot out dot println x, system dot out dot println y, system dot out dot println z. Okay. Now I have to access sample class data. I have to access this sample class data. What we have to do? We have to create object. Where we have to create object? We have to write main program. I am continuing here. Public static void main string args. Which class data I have to access? Sample class data. Create object. How to create object? Sample s equal to new sample. Okay. How to call this? S dot get data. See, in this program are you using any constructor? You will go and check it. Class name sample. Method name get data. Class name, method name is not same. There is no constructor. But please, to access sample class data, we are creating object sample s equal to new sample. See here, sample class name method name same. Means what? See, class name, this name same, because class name followed by parenthesis is what? Method in Java. Class name method name same what? Constructor. This constructor is referred as default constructor. When you are going to write classes and object program in Java language, to access class data when you are going to create object, whether we are going to use non-parameterized constructor in our program or not, by default one constructor will be executed. This constructor is called default constructor. The purpose of this constructor is, in your class, if your data is integer data, they are initialized to 0. If these values are float values, they are initialized to 0.0f. If these values are string values, they are initialized to null. Null, null. Okay, suppose these values are boolean values. The purpose of boolean in Java is to handle true or false value. False values. In our C language, we don't have boolean data type. That is, in some languages, it is called bool data type. But in our Java, boolean. Suppose if this data is in XYZ values are boolean values, then these are initialized with false. X value false, Y value false, Z value false. Okay, this constructor is referred as default constructor. It will initialize values. If they are integers, initialize with zeros. They are float values, initialize with 0.0. They are string values, initialized with null. They are boolean values, they are initialized with false. That is the purpose of default constructor. Normally, what is non-parameterized constructor? It is not having any parameters, but I am not using explicitly here. But to access class data by creating object, implicitly it is calling default constructor. The functionality of this one is this one. This is regarding parameterized and non-parameterized constructors. Already we discussed constructors. Now we will talk about destructors. Constructors are used to construct objects, whereas destructors are used to destruct object. Okay. Actually, I already explained constructors are used to construct object, that is to initialize object, whereas destructors are used not to destroying object. Because in our Java language, whatever objects we are creating using new, those objects are automatically deallocated, destroyed using GC mechanism. GC means garbage collection mechanism. Okay, now you can raise one doubt. Sir, can we call this GC manually? Yes. How means we have to write system.gc. This is way of writing garbage collection manually. Now, if GC mechanism is going to use to destroy object, what is the purpose of destructor? For your kind information, Java language does not support destructors. But the functionality of destructor is achieved by using finalize method. Whatever functionality the destructor is providing, the same thing will be achieved using finalized. C language also not supported. In C language, constructors are not there, destructors are not there. But in C++, we are having constructors and destructors. Whatever functionality destructors will provide in C++, the same thing can be achieved using finalize method. So simply I can write finalize? No. The way of writing finalize is the actual syntax of finalize is protected void finalize. What is the purpose of this method? What it will do? In this method we have to write code. Which code we have to write? Normally while working with Java programs, Java is purely object oriented language. Our object is going to interact with some outside resources. Like it is going to access some data from the network, it is going to access data from the files, it is going to access data from the databases. Suppose if I have to, my Java object is going to interact with the database. If our Java object is going to interact with the database means it has to allocate some resource to the databases. Suppose after accessing with the database, we have to close this connection. Then whatever resource we have allocated by the system, then it will be released. If you don't close them, whatever objects we have used, it will be automatically deallocated. Then still those resources are like that only. Because of that, performance of the systems will be degraded. That's why what we have to do. Suppose you are going to interact with outside resources, they have to be closed. We have to write corresponding code here. For example, I am going to access a database named DB. Okay. Before deleting object, I have to close the database connection. Write db.close. If you write here, when garbage collection is going to remove our object, the code which we have written in finalize method, after executing this code only, then those objects will be removed. That's why we have to use finalize method. Now you will get one doubt. Sir, where we have to write this method? Normally we will write our Java program, class sample. In class sample, we will write main. After writing main, after closing main, we have to write this protected void finalize, then close class. After writing main program, when you are going to close the main, write void finalize method. Okay, finalize method close, main close, then class close. We have to write like this. This is way of working with destructors. Go through this video. If you have any doubt, please comment in comment section. I will respond to your queries. Like, comment, subscribe and share. Thank you.